passion and pageantry of college football lives here. This is the Paul Finebaum Show, Hour 3 podcast.
This might be college football heaven.
We're back, second half of the show, and we are live. Johni Broome will join us a little bit later on, the star Auburn basketball player. We have talked to Dennis Dodd. We had Amanda Kristovich on. It's been a busy show so far. We have a long way to go, and your phone calls, of course. Let's continue with Scotty in New Mexico up next. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, Paul, first-time caller.
Great.
Can you hear me okay?
You sound great.
Good. Oh, good. Yeah, I enjoy your show. I listen to it a lot, especially when I'm driving around. Anyway, my point for the call is 1971, I was a senior in high school. They had the Final Four, the first Final Four in the Dome Stadium, I believe. And how much things have changed. Me and two of my high school buddies, they played two semifinals, and then they had a third-place game then. And in the final, we got to see all four games, $15.
Oh, my goodness.
Was what it cost.
That won't get you popcorn today.
Oh, no. I mean, it was 50. And like I said, we were high school kids. We were broker than broke. And I'm guessing, I want to say 25,000 maybe. UCLA, that was the year between Walton and Jabbar. And anyway, UCLA won the championship. And but I've been blessed. I got to see, 11 years later, I went to New Orleans to see the Final Four when Jordan hit his shot. I was U of H grad and fan.
82?
82, yes. And we all went over there, and tickets then, 11 years later, I want to say we paid $350 or $400 for tickets to get in there. Three same guys, and then I can't remember when it was. It was in the Astrodome, and when Villanova, the guy hit the shot to beat North Carolina in the finals.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was
we played
85.
We played those. Yeah, no, it was later than that. No, this was.
Oh, you're talking about a couple of years. You're talking about 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. When the Villanova guy hit the shot.
Yeah, that was quite
right
a shot.
At the buzzer. Yeah, it was beating North Carolina. Anyway, we had much higher seats. Three of us been friends forever. We went to that one, Final Four as well. We paid almost $1,000 for seats that were not courtside. So that's how much it changed in, what is that, 22 years?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, you're right. I was at the Final Four in 13 in New Orleans when Kentucky last won with Anthony Davis, and it was already out of control then. And but listen, that's exactly. I mean, everything is like that right now.
Yeah, it's corporate. It's a corporate thing. The average person can't see that anymore.
No.
In Super Bowls or whatever. It's similar. Just real quick, real similar thing. The Super Bowl between the Vikings that played at Rice Stadium, like 74.
Oh yeah.
I went to that. Same kind of deal. It's $20 to get into the Super Bowl.
I'm not even sure the first couple of Super Bowls were sold out.
No, this one wasn't.
Yeah.
This one wasn't. Rice Stadium's an old stadium in Houston. It might be 75,000.
Yeah, no, I remember
there
that.
Probably wasn't 30,000. There probably wasn't 30,000 there. So it is. And but anyway, I appreciate you giving me some time. Bring back some old memories for an old fart like
really
myself.
Great to hear from you, Scotty. You took me back to yesteryear, which is a good place to go. At least you can remember. Yeah. Morgan is up next in Maryland.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
Morgan, what's up?
Thank you for taking my call.
Have you gotten around with all the snow up there?
I'm on Connecticut Avenue heading downtown, and there's some piles of, crusty gray snow on the sidewalks. But other than that, it's supposed to be 60 degrees here over the weekend, and that'll be the end of that.
like that.
It was neat to see the picture of the kids, neighborhood kids on Capitol Hill riding their sleds down Capitol Hill right in front of, the Capitol Dome. I think, it just drives home the point this really is a town, not a city. But how have you been?
Morgan, things are going well. A lot happening.
I arched my eyebrows a bit just a moment ago, Paul, when you said, well, why would I retire? I would then have to be in an office and listen to people complaining all day, and not insulting your fan base and your caller empire, but of which I'm gratefully one of those people. But you do that all day anyway.
No, but
John
there's
from
a
Missouri
difference
or Jim from Alabama calls up.
Well, but Morgan, there's a difference in doing this and then having to sit around with a bunch of people. Well, I was about to say who think they know it all, but I'm going to get redundant here. But folks on the phone are fun. I still have to deal with suits. I shouldn't talk too loudly here, but that is not probably one of my least favorite things in the world. Are going to meetings and having endless and aimless conversations about things that you could solve in about 30 seconds.
I could not agree more. Hey, I would like your unbiased opinion, and I'm the wrong person to ask it because I'm a Tennessee graduate. You're probably the wrong person to answer it because you're a Tennessee graduate, but I'm hearing two different narratives with the Tennessee football program, Paul.
Okay.
And on one end of the spectrum, it's Heupel has got it rolling. They only lost 3 games. All of them were on the road. Nico's back. Big recruiting class. Tim Banks just signed for another tour duty. And the other end of the spectrum is Squirrel White and Sampson portaled and went to the pros, and Nico's probably not what we thought he was, and the portal was devastating to us. Can you sort it out in my mind, Paul, because it's confusing to me?
Yeah, I think my narrative would be that Tennessee is probably a notch below where it was a year ago. I don't think it's desperate. Some people really think they're going to go through a transitional season, but I'm still a believer in Heupel. I know that's a leap of faith because I thought the offense was terrible this year, as you well know. But I think that it's just the problem is navigating the schedule every year. I think their schedule is better than some because they don't have a Texas or a Michigan or a Notre Dame type of game. Who's the non-conference game? Is it Virginia Tech? Syracuse.
Syracuse.
Syracuse is good, but Tennessee will beat Syracuse. And when you look through the schedule, I see 1, 2, I see 3.1 losses. How about that? I think if Tennessee can land at 3, they'll be on the bubble of the CFP. But I really don't think outside of Georgia at home. I think at Florida is a really tough game, and Alabama TBD. I think the rest of them are very winnable.
Well, if we do acquire Canada, and then the SEC picks up, McGill College and Moose Jaw Tech and Saskatchewan University, we could probably flatten our schedule out a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm not sure about Canada as a 51st state. It might be 51st through 58.
Hey, one other thing that's just stuck in my crawl, Paul, is, and I think you and I figured each other out over the years, that I'm a capitalist. Merit-based, make as much money as you can,
right,
and enjoy the hell out of it. It really chaps my sack that there is a movement afoot to have NIL money in either selective states or universities or what have you, be exempt from taxes.
Oh, that Morgan, I'm glad you brought that up, and I know Nick Saban came up with it, so we have to bow down to whatever he wants. But I think it's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. And, you know, if you pay taxes and I pay taxes, and Randy, do you pay taxes? Yeah. Okay, just wanted to double check. There's no way some athlete, wherever he is or she, should be exempt.
Well, I'm a big believer, Paul, in what I have self-dubbed the pendulum. I believe all of life and the financial markets, you name it, swings as a pendulum, and sometimes it gets out of whack on the left, and sometimes it gets out of whack on the right, but it always settles in. And this could be a pendulum breaking movement where the fan base says, wait a minute, you're at Vanderbilt or Rice or Duke, you're getting a free $85,000 education, world-class accommodations, world-class health care, all the swag you want, the adoration of an enormous fan base, $2.5 million a year as a starting quarterback, and you're tax-free.
But Morgan, you know the real problem. And by the way, I'll speak of state legislatures and leave the Congress to you, since that's where you are. But if you're in Georgia, you probably, if you're a state legislature or state senator, you're probably going to vote for it out of fear that the fans will turn on you.
Oh, I could not agree with you more. Absolutely right.
Now,
but I think there could be a groundswell.
And the problem is, I mean, there are so. I mean, I happen to respect Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, but some of these governors are pure buffoons, and you know what we're going to end up with. And by the way, it's not like I mean, there are worse things going on in the world than this. But what you said is the most important thing. There's already a fatigue. There's a turnoff of a lot of more older fans than young fans, but this is going to turn a lot of people off, especially hardworking people who are getting taxed at an enormous rate only to see some athlete making $3 million a year and not paying anything.
I think it's akin, Paul, to it could backfire in the same way that the previous presidential administration's efforts to forgive student loans.
Right.
Where the working class people said, well, wait a minute, these people already have college degrees. Now you want to forgive their student loan, and I can't even afford college.
It was such a craven play for votes, and it didn't work.
And it backfired. So I appreciate your thoughts, Paul. I'm hopeful that our Tennessee Vols come through the good season, and you know I love your show, and thank you.
Morgan, great. Thank you. Johni Broome will join us a little bit later from Auburn. We're taking a short break right now.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
We are back, and Don is calling in Colorado. Hello, Don.
Hey, Paul. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, Paul, I'm going to make it real quick here. You have already interviewed the perfect czar for all of this collegiate football mess that we've got going here, and his name is Admiral Bill McRaven.
Wow.
He is absolutely the one that could put it all together.
You know, you're right. I'm not sure he would take it. I don't know if you know that Admiral McRaven, after he retired, became the chancellor of the University of Texas system. And after about 3 years, he told me he had enough of the bureaucracy to last him a lifetime.
Wow. And Paul, I'm a 40-year friend of Bill's. We started out together in the Navy, and obviously he surpassed anybody's expectations. But I still think, and you are probably right, there's some reasons he may not, but in my mind, Paul, first of all, go Volunteers, and I don't care that he's a University of Texas graduate. No. I think he would be the man for the job, and I think you're the man that could get that idea out there.
Well, Don, let me say this before you go. And I've had the privilege of interviewing people of all walks of life, mostly in sports, but I can't tell you if I've ever met someone and spent time with him that I was more impressed with and in awe of than Admiral McRaven. I mean, he is without a doubt at the top of the list.
Paul, he is a unique individual. and it has been my pleasure to know Bill for all these years. And again, I just think the world of him. I know his abilities. And by the way, we beat him in flag football back in the day.
Hey, Don, let me tell you one more story before you go, and you'll appreciate it. We sat down in Austin during the spring, and I said, so we started the interview, and I said, now, Admiral McRaven, he said, Paul, I've told you 3 different times in our correspondence, call me Bill. I said,
yes, sir.
I said, I know you're used to telling people what to do, but for this interview, it's going to be Admiral McRaven. And he just smiles. There's no way I'm calling that man
sir.
Bill.
Well, I'm taking a little bit of liberty there because he sure outranked me during my time in the Navy.
You were friends.
But again, Paul,
I was not about to do that, though, especially in a public setting, because. But he granted me that small privilege.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He is a good man, Paul. Just what you said, and even more.
No, well, thank you. I'm thrilled to hear from you, Don. You be well.
Yes, sir. Go Vols.
Go Vols. He would, by the way, he would be a great choice. And the thing about Saban, I know it's the most convenient line in the world, and I'm not being disrespectful to Nick Saban, but Nick Saban would last about 1 hour in that job, because he would sit down with all these commissioners, and when the Sun Belt commissioner or the Big East commissioner interrupted him and said, well, you're wrong, Coach, Saban would slam his fist through the table and say, I'm out of here. There's no way he would tolerate the nonsensical behavior of so many people in this industry. Thank you very much for the call. That was fantastic. Let's move along and speak to Toby, who is up next.
Hello.
Hey, Toby, go right ahead.
Hey, Paul. Listen, I'm from Auburn, Alabama, War Damn Eagle.
You bet.
And first of all, and I know you're excited for this, I want to talk all things Auburn, Alabama right now.
Let's go.
Now, first off, I want to know your opinion on the Durkin extension. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I have no problem with it. I think the most important thing at Auburn right now is to keep some continuity as opposed to shuffling the deck every year.
I agree. And listen, I've been going to plenty of Auburn Tiger games the past couple of years, and I feel like that defense is always flying around, Paul. Come on, Paul. They get the ball moving down there.
No, Durkin's reputation is standalone. He has a great reputation as a DC.
And now here's what I don't understand. Paul, listen, Coach Freeze over there, he's bringing in every good wide receiver, running back, quarterback, whatever it is, and we still keep, pardon my French, pooping the bed.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the
Paul?
problem's on the offensive side. It's not the defense. And
I agree.
I think Hugh Freeze is down to one opportunity to prove that he is the offensive genius we all have credited him with being.
I agree. Now, let me switch gears on you here, Paul. I heard your first caller today, Jerry, from that disgusting old town called Tuscaloosa, and he thinks that Auburn's going to go up to Tuscaloosa and, pardon my French again, poop the bed. But I think he's gosh darn wrong.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going to go up there and we're going to whoop some butt.
Well, listen, I'm just listening for great advice on that game. Hey, thank you very much. Speaking of Auburn, your top player, Johni Broome, is going to join us in a moment. We can't wait to head down to the Plains and preview the game of the year, maybe the game of all time in college basketball. Johni joins us next.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
And welcome back. We are continuing on, and we are pretty excited about our next guest. You may have heard his name as the college basketball season reaches one of its inflection points this week. This is from The Athletic today, Johni Broome's chase for greatness and embodiment of the American dream. It talks about Johni's upbringing down in Florida, and at one time he was ranked the 471st best high school prospect in America. Now he's considered one of the 2 or 3 candidates for Player of the Year. Johni, thank you for making time. Good afternoon.
How you doing? Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, first of all, a lot of folks have been worried about you. I know you've battled through some ankle injuries and a couple other things, but based on what I saw the other night, you look like you're in pretty good shape.
Yes, sir. It's day by day, week by week, but right now I'm feeling the best I felt so far. So I'm looking forward to getting back up to 100%.
Well, you're on the number one team in the country, and I don't want to be the first one to tell you about this matchup this weekend, the 1 versus 2. How many times have you been reminded of that during the week?
We're aware of the matchup and the game and what comes with the game, but we're already over here. We're gonna prepare this whole week and get ready to go for Saturday.
And I want to talk a little bit about that because, listen, this is a show for fans, and fans get hung up on things like that. But I know I've heard Coach Pearl and you and others talk about it's a long season, and we're right at the midpoint of February. But things are going to be far more important as we work our way into March. How do you approach a game like this, realizing it is just one game of many before the tournament starts?
Well, we're going to take it one game at a time. They're a very good team. We are too. Like you said, a lot of people looking forward to this matchup, but we just look to take care of the next game. And Alabama just have to be next. So we're excited to prepare for this game. It's a rivalry game, and we're going to bring it, and we know they are too.
I alluded to that article a minute ago, and I don't know if you had a chance to read it. It's about you, so you know the story pretty well. But I was really struck by your beginning really in basketball because you were described a lot of really uncomfortable ways that almost nobody expected you to turn out like you did. Johni, go back to that moment in time when you were playing basketball as a youngster and you were not really getting a lot of respect from the rest of the basketball world. How did you overcome that beginning?
A lot of people overlooked me growing up, and but I just had a very strong corner, very strong foundation in my family and friends. So just instilling that confidence in myself and having self-confidence, and just playing with it each and every night and having a chip on my shoulder, and that just carried to where I'm at now.
And in that article we referenced, it talks a lot about Pastor McKay, who really is somebody who's been very important in your life. But I'd like to deviate from basketball for just a second. We rarely talk about other things on a program like this, but clearly faith is the cornerstone of your life. Let's talk about that for a second and how that meshes in with what you do on the court.
Like you said, faith is the in the lead of my foundation. I have a very strong relationship with the man above. So I just talk to him, and going through adversity and hard times like injuries and bad games or whatever it is, just rely on your faith, and coming to Auburn, a lot of guys like Pastor Jeremy, Chaney Johnson, Dylan Carwell, and more guys, we have Bible study before every game. And it kind of just adds on to your faith and allows you to grow as a team. And that's why I think we're having so much success being number one in the country because of our faith.
Johni, do you think that was something that really helped you get through it? I mean, you were completely disrespected. I think you were the number 41 player in Florida. You were the number 471st player overall, and Bruce Pearl laughs about it now. He didn't know who you were, but you believed in yourself, and you had others who believed in you. I know that your upbringing and your teaching of the Bible and and scriptures teaches you not to look down and say, hey, look at me now. But what do you think about your journey so far?
It's just overcoming adversity. Like you said, I was overlooked, but you just kind of put your head down and you just keep working. And hard work don't go unnoticed. So from Plant City High School to Tampa Catholic to Morehead State to now Auburn, just keep working and just keep proving people wrong each and every night. Everybody, every time I go on the court, there's probably somebody who's ranked higher than me or got more looks than me. So I'm looking to go on the court and dominate each and every game.
Let me ask you about playing for Bruce Pearl because he's one of the most fascinating figures in the game. What he's done at Auburn, the Final Four a couple of years ago, and potentially another one coming up. Describe your relationship with him and what's it like to be on the court with him on the sidelines.
He's an amazing coach. He's one of those coaches who makes you play harder for him. He wants more out of you than you want for yourself sometimes. And he pushes you to be great. He pushes me. And sometimes we bump heads, but it's out of love. So I'm able to come to him. He's able to come to me, and we're able to talk about what's wrong, what's right, and what's going good and what's going bad, and just grow from it. And go back on the court, and I'm trying to play harder for him.
Johni, when those rare moments happen when you do bump heads, how do you work through that?
We know it's out of a place of love and just wanting the best for myself, and for the team. So that's always the main thing. So it's never nothing too serious. It's mainly about my effort, or he want me to finish better, or make an impact on the game, or just lead better. And it's more so just like, okay, coach, I got you. I'm trying to do better.
Johni, you stayed at Auburn. You could have gone a lot of places in the portal, but you chose to stay where you are. And this year, as everybody has talked about, the SEC has really been an amazing league. This is the latest bracketology. It's hard to find a school that is not placed in the tournament right now. Of course, Auburn at number one. How would you describe week in, week out playing in what is easily the best conference in college basketball right now?
Well, for sure, you see all the seeds. We play Alabama this week. We played Florida last week. We played Tennessee the week before that. We played Ole Miss the week before that. We played Missouri, played Mississippi State. We played Oklahoma. We played Vanderbilt last game. We played Texas, and we played Georgia. So only team we haven't played is Kentucky, Texas, and Tennessee. And it's a really good league. Each and every night we're gonna play a game. Who's a tournament team? So. You got to be on your A game. You can't overlook no opponent. That's why earlier I said we take it one game at a time, because if you overlook someone, you might get beat. So the next game ahead of us is Alabama.
Johni, I know you're a serious player, and that's why so many people respect you, but I saw something the other day we're going to share with you. I wasn't sure what I was watching here. You're dancing, is this correct, with the LSU cheerleaders? What's happening here?
Yeah, I'm also celebrating my teammates, But it's this team, it makes you have fun. A locker room is very, very funny. On the court, I may seem a little more serious sometimes, but my teammates, we're all funny, and we get along very well in that manner. So it was just kind of fun just to show a little bit of personality.
If this NBA thing doesn't work out, maybe Dancing with the Stars is in your future. Before you go, I want to ask you one more thing, because you also are somebody that really cares about your fellow man and your fellow student. And we got a shot of you here. You're handing out pizza here.
Yes, sir. That was, a couple guys on the team. We decided to, give out to the campers who just came out for the game. So we reached out, and we all pitched in on some Dominoes. And bought like a couple hundred pieces of Dominoes, and then we reached out to a local store, Baumhauer's, and they were able to help out with some pizzas and some burgers. So just kind of giving out to the campers to make sure everybody was, fed, and maybe people who didn't want to leave their spot were able to get some food.
Johni, where were you when I was a poor student in line? Anyway, Johni Broome joining us from Auburn. He'll be, of course, in Tuscaloosa, as the whole world will. Congratulations on an amazing year. All the best, and thanks for making time for us.
Thank you. War Eagle.
You got it. Great to talk to you. Johni Broome from Auburn, as we get ready for Saturday afternoon. We'll take a short break.
You're listening to the Paul Finebaum Show podcast.
And we are back, and Vance is up next in Georgia. Hello, Vance.
Hey, Paul. Paul, I wanted your opinion about something, because, I've never owned a computer. Well, you're not supposed to know that, I'm telling you. I'm completely ignorant of it.
Okay.
But I love college football and what has happened throughout the years. And Jeff, the wonderful Michigan caller from Ohio, asked you a question yesterday. Did you think that the Brigham Young championship of '84 caused the playoff. And I want to know, you know more about these things than I do. Everything I do is from memory. Is it not fair to say that the 2011 game between LSU and Alabama, Chap Delaney's behind so bad that that's what made the Final Four come in? Am I correct in that?
Well, first of all, the '84 season didn't really affect anyone. It was laughable, but we had many more laughable moments after that. The two inflection.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, the two most important moments are these. 2004, Auburn getting shut out. They were undefeated. Southern Cal, Oklahoma started 1-2, and Auburn never could move up. And then we had a terrible national championship game in the Orange Bowl. And after that, the commissioner of the SEC, working with the ACC commissioner at the time, came very close to a one-off game that finally got us out of where we were. But you are correct. In 2011, LSU had the best team in the country all year. They beat Alabama in overtime. Alabama had no chance of getting back in it, and suddenly they got back in it, and they had a rematch. And going into that week in New Orleans, the head of the BCS, Bill Hancock, told reporters, "We are not interested in having a playoff. It's not on the agenda. It's not germane to what we're doing here." The day after the game, it was a 21-0 shutout, terrible game, incredibly bad. Alabama won.
Yes.
They went back into a meeting room in New Orleans and decided to start talking about the CFP.
Okay, and then I don't know if this is. This is very interesting to me because this is what I love. And then, contrary to their plans, because they wanted everyone involved, and I think Delaney was very instrumental in this. And then all of a sudden, Georgia's playing Alabama for the championship again, and then they did it again. Did that help fuel the 12-team playoff? I don't know if it did or not.
Yeah, no, I think it was already starting to build. The one thing they had to get over was this obsession the Big Ten had with the Rose Bowl being at 5 o'clock on New Year's Day. So they finally got some movement, and really I think it was right before COVID happened, I think, and my memory's a little fuzzy. They had a 4-person committee, including Greg Sankey, and they agreed to a playoff, to the 12-team playoff. And then, if you remember what happened, Texas and Oklahoma,
other conferences wouldn't play ball.
Well, no, they all tentatively agreed. And then Oklahoma and Texas went to the SEC, and the Big Ten commissioner got 2 other commissioners along with him, and they went ballistic, and they put a pause on it. It was supposed to start, I believe, 2 years ago, and when finally Sankey and a couple other people got everyone on the same page, and they gave us what we finally had this year.
Well, then at least was the original catalyst of all of this the 2011 LSU.
Yeah,
Alabama
it was.
game.
It absolutely. That was the original catalyst for the 4-team playoff. And I think it was just an inclusion situation that finally got us to where we are now. And by the way, that is why it was so convoluted this year. And people say, well, what's Boise State and what's Arizona State doing with a bye? They had to have unanimous consent. Everybody, there had to be unanimity. And that's the only way to get all these podunk commissioners from these directional conferences on board was to give them a group of 5 and give everybody else a bid.
Well, you know what? I appreciate the information because, everything I do is in my brain, and that can be a dangerous place. But I'm glad for you to help me, gain more knowledge of that.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Let's jump to Cat Daddy up next.
Big Paul and good and sounding good as always. I am calling tonight because Velveeta has been all over me. Now, I didn't see the first part of the show, but obviously y'all were talking about men claiming to be women in women's sports.
No, we had a guest that was talking about how the Trump administration undid the Biden executive order on Title IX.
Well, that's what Velveeta was telling me. And listen, I mean, she's just saying, please call Mr. Finebaum and tell him common sense. And one other question. How many women do you know are claiming to be men to get into men's prisons? I know this sounds crazy, but I've been married for 44 years.
Yes, sir. So you have been married for 44 years, and what have you learned during those 44 years?
Oh, well, you don't argue with the boss.
Yeah, I have recently found that out as well. Expensive lesson. We'll take a short break, and we are coming right back.